do you say we start this thing? Put your hands on fire. Good morning. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We get a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mayor Larry Milton.
Yep.
City Administrator Kathy Stepp. Here. Alderman Ralph LeBlanc.
Here.
Lane McConnell.
Yes.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. And we'll start off with our regular agenda of approving of the HR committee minutes from March 15th. Has everybody had a chance to read those? If so, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's approved. Next, we have a presentation from Connell Insurance on our property and casualty insurance renewals. And before you start, I'm told our premiums have been reduced by 50%,
That would be amazing.
and our coverage has doubled.
That's right. Almost
Anything
all
else you want
correct.
to add to this report?
No. Almost all correct.
Almost.
Really close.
We are all ears. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you very much. And I would like to introduce Casey and Billy from Connell Insurance. So they'll be talking to us about our property and casualty insurance. So take it away. You have to come up here where they can hear you.
This is Casey and Billy.
Thank you again for your time. It's an honor to work with the City of Branson. We wanted to discuss two things, a little bit of what's going on in the market, and then our efforts since December, working with Bob and working with the carriers, kind of what we've came up with, and we on the 9 carriers that we've marketed to, and a couple of good options that we have for the city. But it has been a very challenging market for public risk and property throughout the Midwest. And I wanted to share just a little bit about that. In your folder, there, you have this document.
Yes.
So,
we have that?
as you all know, what's happened with inflation, where the labor costs on repairing buildings, and it's all coming together kind of in a perfect storm. I hate to use that term. But the first page is on inflation that's driving property rates. The second page are the major storms that have impacted the industry in the last year, and it's multi-billion dollars, and that's driving not only, I've been doing this 21 years, and it's more severe than we've ever had. And not only are the premiums increasing for property, but the excess carriers that Travelers and Houston Casualty and the carriers go to push their risk, to mitigate their risk, they are stepping back, and there's less capacity in the market. It's almost like in the new vehicles, during the pandemic, and not only did you have to pay more than sticker, but there wasn't even capacity. They weren't even there to buy if you wanted to. So that's a little bit of what we're finding in the public sector over the last year with property. And it's not just Branson, it's all over the nation. But so the storms are reducing capacity, and they're driving premiums up.
Can we
Any
get you to
questions
speak
on
into the
that?
microphone? Sorry, up here. Can you pull the mic up just a hair so we make sure the stream, yeah. there you
Yes.
go.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank
Thank you. Any questions on that thus far?
Casey, I'm hearing the same thing in the business community,
Yes, sir.
so this isn't anything
Okay.
new. Yeah.
The next page are the storms and Tornado Alley and how that has hit the insurance market. And then the last page is about the insurance markets becoming hard, and that just means there's less available to buy, and the prices have went up. So that's what we're dealing with on that. Any questions or comments on that piece, what's driving this?
I think these pages are setting us up for your next.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So my question is, when times were good and storms were not this bad, what'd they do with all that? No, I'm just kidding.
That's valid. That is valid. So we began in December. I actually spoke at the Mo Prima conference where Bob's the president of these trends that were happening. So we began in December, Billy and I, on marketing your account and looking at different factors that would make you more attractive. So we've met multiple times with Bob over the months, and we have came up with this spreadsheet in our recommendation. So we have multiple carriers that we approached, and we can provide that list. But out of them, we have the renewal carrier, which is Houston Casualty Company. And this line, first line is expiring premiums, and then renewal premiums next to that. And you see that we were able to get the work comp premiums down a bit.
Thank you, Bob.
The cyber premiums have went down $75,000. And there's your total. So we're recommending this is the current program. We're recommending the renewal with Houston Casualty. And here's another option fully underwritten from Travelers. And then the third option will be, this option with Travelers is the Travelers, the work comp and the property liability. And the last option will be Travelers and Missouri Employers. So we're recommending renewing with Missouri Employers and renewing with Houston Casualty Company. And we just wanted to get your kind of take on this and see what your questions were. The large factor here is, you see $250,000 option on all of these. Here is the significant difference. So the risk management program you have remains unchanged from last year with the exception of the property. So Travelers, Houston Casualty, all the major carriers have backed off of their exposure on wind and hail. Anything to do with tornadoes, anything to do with hail, now has a $50,000 deductible before they start paying. Now, most of our public risks use another insurance program that we have, and that's that $250,000 to gap that, to mind that gap, so you're back down to the standard deductible. Is it 10?
Yeah, whatever you choose.
Yeah, 5 or 10,000. So that's the option, is to get the same program we had last year, we would need to add that to fill that gap on the deductible, because the whole industry has added a $50,000 or $100,000 wind hail deductible per building.
Casey, if you would explain that a little bit. The renewal without the optional wind and hail deductible, our deductible would be $50,000. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, 100,000. Those are just the wind hail.
Okay, this looks like we're paying a premium of $250,000 to reduce our deductible from $100,000 to $10,000.
That's correct. And it's also, it's 100,000 or it's 1% of building value. So a $70,000 property would only have, $7,000 deductible, but it's a $50,000 minimum. Now, on your convention center, if you've got, $55 million, 1% of that would be $550,000, or $20 million on this building, $200,000. So it's, the insurance companies have really backed away and put that risk back on the public entity. So it's a minimum of $50,000 before they would start paying on a claim for a tornado or wind and hail, just like we have $2.2 million in claims over the last 4 years when the convention center got hit. But without this $250,000, that first 1% of that value, or roughly $550,000, would not be paid. The insurance company doesn't start paying until that 1%.
Okay, so when you mentioned the $50,000, that's a $50,000 minimum or 1%, whichever is greater.
Yes, sir. And I apologize, most of these come with 50 or 100. Those are just the standard industry options. This price from Travelers, price from Houston Casualty is 100,000. So the 50,000, I shouldn't have even brought that up, but that's just, those two are the standards. So we also went to MoPerm, Selective, EMC, RPS, Public Risk, and they all declined. So why would they decline? Number one, the capacity. And number two, they are very risk averse when it comes to property in this market. And then number three, we've got 2.2 million showing on our record, if you will, on our claims. And so those factors, we could not get them to price options for you.
So again, for clarity, over the last 2 years, so would that be 21 and 22, we've had 2.2 million in claims? Sure. But,
Yeah, 2.2 is 19 to today.
So Mayor, I believe this is 2019 to present, is the total claims with the carrier since we started with them,
from 19 to
from
present.
19 to present.
Okay. Well, if you're asking this committee to approve a $400,000 increase, that's not going to happen. Just kidding. Any committee members have any questions?
I had a question just about the cyber insurance. What was the biggest change to be able to bring that down?
I believe we joined the Higginbotham Network nationwide, so we do public risk nationwide, cyber nationwide, and we've got more buying power and negotiating power, more resources now. We're still Connell, we all live here, and Tim's still a stockholder, but I believe it's having more access to, for public entity cyber nationwide through our partnership with Higginbotham.
Let me clarify a question from Alderman LeBlanc. He's asking about that $250,000 optional. That's a premium of $250,000. And what that does is, if we have a policy that has a minimum of $100,000 or 1% of the property value, it very well likely will exceed this $250,000. So if we, or excuse me, the extra 150, I'm sorry. So with this 250, and this is in the form of a question, with this $250,000 premium, if we have wind and hail damage, then we would be limited to the $100,000 deductible.
It would, if you take this policy of $250,000, it would bring it down to like it currently is, where it's $5,000.
So it'd take it down,
So it would keep you whole.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I want to make sure everybody was clear with that. Kathy, you were good with that?
Yes, sir.
And sir, this 250, I believe the convention center takes on part of that property premium or pays it, reimburses the city
Out of their funds.
of their funds.
Kathy, Ben, has Ben been given a heads up on this, and has he been able to weigh in on this increase?
Yes, and he's comfortable with that.
So are we asking to vote on this, or just approve it, or say, yes, we acknowledge it?
It would be where you would have a vote of your, acknowledgement, all of what you just said, and then we're passing it on to the Board of Aldermen finally.
Okay, so we're going to vote to approve this to the Board of Aldermen.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions before we vote?
Who's the current carrier right now?
Houston Casualty
So
Company.
we're just renewing with them.
Yes, sir.
Does this include our new acquisition of the White House Theater? Yes.
Yes, it does. It also includes the White House. And just a note is, we're working like a potentially $1.4 million claim with HCC, our current carrier right now. We met with them, and they're like, we consider that kind of a one-off. If we take away that hail damage and that you just recently had, we look at your claims, and they're so good, we want to stay with you. And without that 250, you notice that the premium's very close to what it was
Yes.
last year.
Yes,
So I really appreciate them for that.
yeah, good, that's a very good point. Thank you. Any other questions before we vote? Hearing none, all in favor of approving this proposal to take to the Board of Aldermen, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Do we need a motion first? I don't know, do we? Or if it's a renewal?
Well, they keep me in line usually. Do we need a
I think
motion?
we need a motion.
Good catch, Lane.
Yes, sir. I make a motion to renew with Houston Casualty.
Please.
We have a,
Yeah.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Sorry, I just was.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for all the work you put into it. I know shopping it, times are different today.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, is a big thank you to Connell. I know they went back to the carriers quite a few times to ensure we were getting the best rate that we possibly could. So a big thanks. I know that's a lot of work, so appreciate it.
Big thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
The board is as diligent as they can with spending taxpayer dollars, and we appreciate you for keeping us as diligent as we can be.
I think that's all we have on the agenda, unless there's anything else.
Are there any reports?
Were you going to bring up the frequency of meetings going
Yes.
forward?
So we were going to discuss moving the frequency of the HR committee meetings to be biannual instead of monthly going forward. So just to, out of respect, of course, for your commitment and the time that it takes to have all of you here and everything that you have going on. So that's what we would like to propose, is moving that to twice a year. would that allow us to then also ask for a meeting, I guess, of something, if there was something that needed to be discussed or that we needed help with? So that's what we would like to propose.
We could do a study session on anything like that, right?
Oh, absolutely, and we can call an HR committee meeting, just what Haley explained to you. You know, we want to make sure there's enough content to warrant you taking off work and, you know, away from your businesses and coming in, and instead of asking you to do that for a 22-minute agenda, you know, trying to combine the agendas and do it biannually.
Well, my wife's gonna be happy that I'll be at the office
You need to
at
speak
10.
into the microphone or I'm going to
Yes.
get yelled at.
My wife will be happy I'll be at the office at 10. So-
Perfect. So if everybody's in it, we don't need a vote or anything, we just wanted to kind of run that past you all and see if that was acceptable.
Let's say, okay, so for clarity, what you're recommending, Haley, is we have a scheduled biannual meeting.
Correct.
If something like this came up, for example, we would just call a special meeting
Correct.
to address whatever the issue is
Correct.
on an ongoing basis.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, that's correct.
So instead of just meeting for the sake of meeting.
Correct.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
All in
almost
effort
sounds
of,
like-
I think many times we just do a meeting to have a meeting, and
Correct.
it's better to have content if we're going to.
Sounds like operating like a business, too.
Yes.
that's what I was going to say, is
Yeah.
operating at the speed of business, right? Instead
There you
of-
go.
Yes.
Well, I like that.
Wonderful.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you
And
very
that's
much.
just administrative change.
Yes, sir.
Will notify everybody that needs to be notified. I don't know if it'll, public announcement, I guess, yep.
Yeah,
Let the
we'll let
public know
everybody
what
know.
we're doing. Any other reports?
No?
Haley, how you feeling?
I feel great. Everything's been really good. Still learning a lot, right? And just trying to soak everything in. So still under the 30-day mark, but we're making leaps and bounds, really helping the team to find some efficiencies and streamline some processes. So been working with all the other departments as well. Big focus on recruiting, of course. So we are intentionally spending dedicated time every day as a group, just working on recruiting and job postings and making sure we're getting through things quickly or as quickly as we can. So, and really trying to find some ways to remove some time constraints in that process too. So, but otherwise I feel really good. Everyone's very supportive. It's been excellent. So it's been great. Thank you for asking.
How many openings do you have in HR?
I don't know how, in HR or
Yeah.
just across the board?
HR,
We have 0 openings in
Zero,
HR
okay.
right now. So
I
we
know
are
we-
full house.
yeah. Oh, that's good to hear.
Yes, it's exciting.
And I know our ongoing recruiting efforts are picking up.
Yes, they are. They've made a huge improvement in the number of jobs we have open. We had 21 people in orientation for Parks and Rec for those seasonal opportunities that we have coming up. That was just on Saturday, so big kudos to Parks and Rec and the HR team for taking on that. We'll do another one of those again, but we're making huge strides, right? It's really just kind of, again, putting some directed focus in those efforts. So that's really the goal for at least the next, few weeks, to get some things, out of that loop and really just taken care of, so.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
very good to hear. Any other comments or reports? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
No, you seconded it. I need a motion.
Oh,
Before it's
sorry.
seconded.
I thought you were making the motion. Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much, Haley.
Yeah, thank you very much.